This week on the Analog Circle podcast, we get an update on Marvel 1943, Rise of Hydra, and we also, got an update for Black Panther as well. Gears of War info has been pretty rampant this week. And man, we got quite a few things to discuss. It could be one of their games coming out later on this year, but we're going to get there. Could we possibly know of one of the first titles releasing on the next generation Xbox? Well, according to reports, we may have some answers. And we find out about a new patent from Nintendo for the Nintendo Switch 2 that's a bit of a callback to one of their previously released handhelds. But all of these stories can be found here and a lot more. This is going to be a long episode, in episode 248 of the Analog Circle podcast. I am your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and welcome to the show. Welcome. Come on in and sit down and relax, because we are going to have a great conversation today. And as always, if you're traveling, whether it's by bus, by train, by automobile, hopefully we can accompany you to your destination. Now, as always, if you do want to be a part of the show, you can do it two different ways. You can either call in at 443-627-9087 and let your voice literally be heard. Or you can email the show like the good brother Cody Clark did at the Analog Circle podcast at gmail.com. Matter of fact, shout out to you, Cody Clark. I want to give a couple quick shout outs real quick. Cody Clark, it is no way I'm going to be able to get to your email this week, because this is going to be a stacked show. But shout out to you for writing in. I also want to shout out to Mr. Lawrence Jones. Shout out to you, brother, for always holding down, or I should say holding up, the Facebook group. So if you do want to be a part of the Facebook group, go on over there. The Analog Circle podcast is right over there. Please feel free to join. And I also want to shout out to Mr. Glovebox Gaming for the very, very encouraging words over the weekend. Thank you, good brothers. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes, I got a couple of quick stories that I want to go through. So let's start off with, now this isn't good news. There's no way really to spin this, but the developer behind the Until Dawn remake, Ballistic Moon, has unfortunately been shut down after failing to find a publisher for its next game. Now, on a side note, since I just talked about Until Dawn, the Until Dawn movie is actually releasing in theaters on April 25th. If you want to check it out, I saw the preview, not the preview, but the trailer looks kind of okay. Doesn't look too bad. But if you want to check it out, April 25th, it's in theaters. Publisher Nacon and developer Kiaun, at least that's how I say it, Teyon, they have announced RoboCop Rogue City Unfinished Business, which is a standalone expansion releasing this summer. Now, this is the interesting thing about this. That RoboCop game, RoboCop Rogue City, has had great reviews. It has been one of those games that people who have been a fan of the actual franchise, the movies, they have actually said that they did a very, very good job on this game. Now, like I was saying, the interesting thing that I had actually seen online was after they showed off this DLC, this Unfinished Business DLC, people online have been saying that they want them, the developer Kiaun, hopefully I'm saying that name right, to make a Judge Dredd game next. How crazy would that be? That this team, anybody out there that has played RoboCop Rogue City, write in, call in, and let me know if you could see this developer actually being good or really bringing a great Judge Dredd game to the masses, to the gamers out there? Do you think they have the cachet to be able to do so? I would love to hear from you. Now, the other thing I did want to mention too is they'll be releasing a collector's edition of Death Stranding 2. Now, this joker is gonna be crazy expensive. It's gonna be $299.99. Now, the contents are not known at this time that will be included in this package, but also according to Insider Bill, his name is spelled Billbilkun, Bill Kun. He said that pre-orders will be available by the end of this month. So by the end of March, you'll be able to start to pre-order Death Stranding 2. And of course, outside of the collector's edition, the game is going to be the standard $69.99. So if you ain't got it, like I don't have it, feel no fear. You'll still be able to pick up the game. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention, and I want to shout these guys out as well, because they are still one of my favorite studios, even though they may not have made the game that I thought they were going to make. I still believe in the team. And this is actually confirmation of me feeling so confident about this team as to what they're capable of being able to do. So I'm actually talking about Ninja Theory. If you guys were not aware of this, Hellblade 2 Senua's Saga is up for 11. That's right, 11 BAFTA awards. 11! That is unreal. I think it's like 14 categories. And they got nominated for 11. That is insane. Unbelievable. It's like they shut the BAFTAs down this year. Now, if you're interested in checking out the BAFTA awards, it will be held on April 8th. I might have to tune in. I've never looked at the BAFTAs ever. But I am curious to know, man, how many awards is Ninja Theory going to get? Because it is well deserved, obviously, because they put together, I know it wasn't the best game for a lot of people. It was short. It wasn't a whole lot of action, according to some. Kind of took a bit of a back step, as it were, compared to the first one. But it seems like 11 out of 14. That is crazy. Unbelievable work, Ninja Theory. And I really do believe that they are one of those powerhouses over there at Microsoft, over at Xbox. I believe in those guys in the coalition the most as far as like game. Well, I ain't going to say the most. Well, yeah, they would probably be my top two. I mean, of course, Bethesda. I mean, you could say that too. Yeah, I'll just leave it there. I'm not going to get down that road because we ain't even really started yet. But anyway, let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's get into what we all come here for. And that is no doubt the gaming news that went down. So let's go ahead and get things started with a story that I actually got from Dual Shocker. So this first story I found is very interesting because did you know that Astrobot did something that neither God of War Ragnarok or Horizon Forbidden West was able to do? It actually tapped into the PlayStation 5's maximum potential in terms of processing power. Unbelievable. Now, Team Asobi senior gameplay programmer, his name is Takumi Yoshida. He sat down with Famitsu to discuss the game's development, where he said, and I quote, "We used the PS5's processing power to its very limit. And besides the many jewels on screen, what is also impressive is the depiction of water. The part where you get the sponge power up and splash water around was really hard because the frame rate wasn't stable. We kept optimizing it right up until the very end." End of quote. Now, you guys know I do have Astrobot. It is upstairs. It's still in the wrapper, still in the packaging. Haven't got to it yet, but it is one of my most anticipated games to want to play. I just got to get through a couple of other games. But the other thing that I wanted to say is, So even though Astrobot, and this is the thing that blew me away about this, even though the game has like a cartoony art style, it was still a very demanding game. Now, also another piece of info we got was from Hiroki Totoki, who of course is, Sony's president, who did confirm that they are planning on releasing more family-friendly games like Astrobot in the future. But I just have to say, that was something I did not see coming, because it's so easy to dismiss the game as, it's a cartoony art style, can't be using but so much power, because the visuals, though very, very good visuals, not something on the same level of a God of War or a Horizon Forbidden West, which to me is still one of the, if not the best game I have seen this generation. It was this game that actually tapped out the PlayStation 5's processing power. Now, maybe when I actually play the game, he talked about that sponge stage. Maybe some of you guys that have played it know exactly what's going on the screen when that happens, and how much processing it takes and how amazing it is to look at it running at I'm pretty sure Astrobot is running at 60 frames per second. You know what? Let's just double check that real quick, just to be on the safe side. And we're about to move on into the next story, but I do want to see if that's true. All right. Is Astrobot running at 60 frames per second? It says
Alongside these 5 new levels, we are pleased to say that owners of the PS5 Pro will be able to enjoy an improved version of Astrobot featuring a constant best resolution while still running at 60 frames per second.
Now see, that's interesting, because they said it's going to have like the best resolution with 60 frames per second, but that is on the Pro. So let's see, it says the latest Astrobot update adds 5 new levels and a constant best resolution, 60 frames per second for PlayStation 5 Pro. Let's see. Hold on. Does Astrobot run at 60 frames per second on PlayStation 5?
According to PlayStation.
All right, let's just go and say the same stuff. All right, I got you. I can't really say that it is or it is not. Okay, it says what frame rate is Astrobot on PS5? 60 frames per second. It says Astrobot uses dynamic resolution scaling with a 1440p to 2160 rendering window. Frame rate wise, it's also simple. It runs at 60 frames per second. There's lots of fluid simulation, water, slime, and other liquids are all fully simulated and react to forces exerted upon them. So yeah, these surfaces and water and slime and all this stuff must be crazy to look at on the screen, especially when you have one of the developers bringing up a specific part about the water in the sponge. So this is just very great to see, very great to hear that in not even year 5 of the PlayStation 5's existence, they have already Team Asobi has already had the PlayStation 5's processing power hit its limit. Unbelievable. Shout out to them. Also, I think that on March 13th, they're going to have some new level coming out. Hold on, let me see. I think I got it right here. I'm not going to go through that. When is the next Astrobot level releasing? That was February, Astrobot DLC. Well, just know that I believe it's March 13th, another Astrobot level is going to be available. And Sir Galahad from the Order 1886 will be in one of those extra free DLCs as another character that you can find. But let's go ahead though, guys, and let's get into the next story that I got from Insider Gaming. So this next story falls under rumors.
Rumor has it is something that only I know.
So, according to a quote, reputable, end of quote, Call of Duty leaker named The Ghost of Hope, who is claiming that the next Call of Duty in 2026 is in development. I need y'all to hear me closely. He's saying that it is in development for the next generation Xbox, the next generation Xbox.
What did he say?
I said, you got to be kidding me. I'm going to tell you, I still am very skeptical of us seeing another Xbox. But according to him, it's in development for that. And this is, I don't know, man. I highly doubt that that's the case. But if it is true, could this mean that next gen on Xbox, the next generation Xbox will release in 2026? I don't know, man. We're talking about 2 years, less than 2 years, because we're already in March of 2025. You're talking about this, well, maybe a little over a year out, depending on if it comes out in November, somewhere around there. But I just don't know. It was another thing that I had seen today by Jez Corden, and we know he's an insider. He has a pretty good track record. I know he does have some ties to guys over there at Xbox. I do believe, yes, he sat down with Phil Spencer before as well. But he actually said that the hardware design, that it's going to be more so, and this is a quote, it's going to be, hold on, I got it right here. Well, he said the next gen Xbox will reportedly be a PC with a TV friendly shell. Now, I don't know what that means, brother. I mean, we could all sit here and we could all surmise that we're already playing consoles that are PCs. I mean, the power that they have, the components that are inside. We could say that we're already playing a TV friendly PC with the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. I'm not going to put the Switch in that category, even though I have the utmost amount of respect for the Switch for what it was able to do with Zelda and other games as well, the Metroid games, all of that stuff. But a powerful PC, I think not. But this is the thing. If this does happen, who's going to buy it? Are you going to go out there and buy a new Series YZ, knowing that the games are coming over to PlayStation, knowing that they're going to be enhanced on the PlayStation 5 Pro? I just don't know if people are going to go out there and buy it. I get that the hook to being inside of the Xbox ecosystem is Game Pass. I understand that for some, that is enough. If Game Pass goes, then they just might go as well. I get it. But I just don't know if somebody that is fully aware, that knows that these games are coming to the PlayStation at some point in time. Granted, it could be a couple of years. It could be maybe a year. It could be some months, like we are seeing with Indiana Jones. It could be a couple of months. I would like for it to be a lot longer. If I'm being honest, I would love to see them actually release their games 3 to 4 years later. So you really, really got to wait for them, which would make me want to go out and get an Xbox. But they're not really putting a time frame on their exclusives on how long it's really going to take. So I don't know. I just don't know if somebody will go out there and spend possibly $600 for this next console, knowing that those games will be available on other platforms. And we don't even have to talk about it just being a PlayStation situation. It's also going to be over and available on the Nintendo Switch 2 as well, depending on if the Switch can actually handle it. So I don't know about this. 2026, the new Xbox releasing. I don't put too much stock in that, but we shall see. We know that they have a showcase coming up this year. Maybe Sarah Bond actually hits the stage and talks about this upcoming console, because we've seen them do that before. We saw them do it at the Game Awards for the Xbox Series X when it was still about a good year and a half, maybe close to about a year and a half out. We've seen them do it. It would make sense that if it is coming next year, just going off of that timeline, that they would do the same thing. If it's next year, they should be presenting it or at least teasing it at this year's Xbox showcase. I think that'll be a clear indicator, if they do show it off, that it is coming out next year, and this report could be true. But as always with rumors, take it with the mustard seed of truth. Let's go ahead though, guys, and let's get into the next story that I actually got from Games Beat. So y'all know I like to do a little bit of my side stories here and there. You know, they're the things that I actually do at the beginning. I'm all tongue-tied. Pardon me. But I had to talk about this. Now, this took me by surprise and made me wonder about what could have been. Sometimes you get those stories where you hear different things and you say, man, I wonder how that would have worked out if it actually happened. Now, y'all know that Insomniac Games, oh man, they are one of my favorites. They're like one of my favorite studios. I put them in the top 5. I put them in the top 5 list of studios that I absolutely enjoy and love their work. But what if I told y'all, and this is something I didn't know, that Insomniac Games were working on 2 different VR titles. Now, one was called Stormland and the other was titled The Edge of Nowhere. If you're like me, you might be saying, how did I not know about these games? Because as I was writing this, I said, how the world did this slide under the radar? Well, the simple answer is they were delisted. And this was picked up by journalist Dominic Tarson on social media. So when Tarson reached out to the Meta store to ask about the delistings, he was told to ask Insomniac. But also, well, I shouldn't say also, but as of now, Insomniac hasn't given a statement so far. So, that is what it is. But to be fair, Tarson believes the delisting happened, quote, some time ago. And, the biggest red flag about these games were they were being published by Meta themselves under the Oculus Studio label. So that alone would have been could have been a bit of a conflict of interest, but I can't help but to imagine what an Insomniac developed VR title would have looked like. I mean, maybe we see titles in a different form. Maybe these come back, maybe somewhat in a different form, for the PlayStation VR 2, maybe at some point in time. But we do understand that at this point, Insomniac really is the Marvel studio over there at PlayStation. They're working on Spider-Man 3. They're working on X-Men as far as we know. And who knows what other titles they'll be working on. Possibly Venom is supposed to be getting a game. I know that's kind of been debunked, over time, but it's still hope that it could happen. But yeah, they're kind of regulated to the Marvel universe right now. So I doubt that we would see that, but, it would be very, very interesting if they did let those guys get a shot at actually doing some VR titles. I think that they could have done very, very well. But again, over there at Meta, yeah, them picking them up, that just wouldn't have worked out. But we'll see what happens. Maybe someday they may get back to it. Maybe not. But I would not hold my breath. But let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's get into the next story that I got from Game Rant. So this is a little interesting. So Nintendo has filed a new patent. The concept is described as a coupling structure comprising 2 apparatuses that can rotate around a magnetic connection point. Now, the patent that was reviewed by Game Rant specifically mentions a mobile phone holder as one potential apparatus. Now, that would be compatible with Nintendo's design, which means that the Switch 2 could essentially, attaching your phone to the controller, it would make it essentially a dual screen compatible, as it were. Now, it's even being suggested that the central connection mechanism could even be used for securing objects to soft materials as well. Now, its broad design also leaves room for a modular accessory system enabling various devices to attach to a console magnetically. How the heck would that look? Now, a general purpose console stand would be another possible use of the technology, but I don't know if they need that. It already comes with a stand. The stand looks much better than the original Switch's design, so I don't know if that's going to happen. But, with these patents, just because the patent exists, it doesn't mean that it will be used. So, like I said with the last story, I wouldn't hold my breath, on this actually coming out. But it would be very interesting to see Nintendo actually do something like they did with the 3DS and the DS by using your phone as, pretty much a second screen. That could possibly mean that, again, if we're going off of that, I would say off of looking at it from that standpoint, they could possibly, and I know it's a big possibility, well, not a big possibility, but it's a big what if, if they were to do this, they could essentially kind of port over DS and 3DS games over into not necessarily just the eShop, but also actually make it so you could download those games, because you would essentially have two screens to actually be able to have the functions that you would have needed for a 3DS and a DS game. That would be pretty dope. I mean, being able to play that new Metroid, well, it's not new now, it's very old at this point, but on the 3DS, the Metroid side scroller that actually released, we talked about that last week, being able to actually play that on the Switch 2 and have all of the options and things that you had on the 3DS version, that would be nice. Being able to have the touch screen controls and things of that nature, it'll be very, very interesting. And as far as them saying you can actually attach things to it like cloth materials and things of that nature, to the apparatus, making it a more modular accessory system, that could actually be very interesting to see as well. We know that Nintendo, they always are doing something, but I do believe it was in this story. Now, I didn't write it down and I don't really remember it verbatim, but they did say that Nintendo usually has a lot more patents before the end of the year, but this year their patents were actually down a little bit. So, maybe I doubt that they're, feeling a little limited on new ideas, but they were just saying that this year was just a little bit of a down year when it came down to them actually patenting things. So we'll see what happens with this. This would be nice to see. Who am I kidding? I don't even know if I would use this. I'm sitting up here saying all of this stuff. Oh, it sounds great. Sounds awesome, Nintendo. I would probably be the main one that would never use this feature. I don't know why I'm even gassing this up right now. It's not even like it's official. I at the same time though, I did kind of find it interesting, that it could be something, that could play 3DS games. And what could that do? Because we know that Nintendo, they're always innovative. That's one thing I can say about them jokers. They will come to the table with something different. And I was just wondering, what could that do? Attaching your phone to the Nintendo Switch controller, how could that innovate, in the gaming space, as it were? It's just curious. At least they have it so you're not using your phone to chat with people online. Now that Nintendo, that was just absolutely bogus.
Move this man! No!
They talking about chatting with your friends on your phone. I said, whoa, Nintendo, y'all are bugging. But anyway, man, for the sake of time, let me move on into the next story. Well, you know what? Hold on. This is something I got to say. At this moment in time, hold on, before I forget, I want to take the time out to congratulate game director Joseph Ferris and his team over there at Hazelight for creating what I believe And I mean, you can mark it down. What's the day? March what? March the 9th. Mark it down. I believe that this game will be in the conversation for a Game of the Year nomination. And I'm talking about Split Fiction, which at the time of, I believe I wrote this on March 4th, it is sitting at a 91 on Metacritic score. Now, also, hold on, before, like I said, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5 days later, that's a long time. Let's make sure it's still sitting at a 91 because a lot can change in that small period of time. So let's see what we got. What is Split Fiction sitting at on Metacritic?
Impressive Steam numbers and Metacritic scores. The review aggregator has Split Fiction, as of March 7th, sitting at 91 on PS5 and 92 on Xbox and PC.
Oh, ho, 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 ho. It's about 1 point on the Xbox and the PC. Oh, shucks. A 91 and a 92. Man, listen, congratulations to those guys over there at Hazelight. Those guys have been doing absolutely fantastic work. I should have said Hazelight, not Hazel. Hazelight. And this is another thing I wanted to mention. So, of course, this time, what makes this game very interesting outside of their other games is this time it is cross-play compatible with PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. And, you know, just like previous titles that they've released, you can invite a friend to play for free where you don't have to own the game. So, as always, these guys have a great format. And I'm going to tell you, I have not played It Takes Two, even though I wanted to. That game is extremely successful. That game has sold 23 million copies. In their first game, A Way Out, that game has sold 11 million. So they make hits. This guy, Joseph Ferris, he might talk a lot, but man, this joker backs up his work. So with that being said, sitting at a 91, it's one of the clear-cut leaders this year as far as the Metacritic score goes. And like I said, people have been talking about this game very, very positively. Talking about the last act of the game, things happen that you've never seen before, and it just crescendos into an amazing moment. And I gotta say, I am sitting here and I am contemplating hard on actually getting this game and maybe asking my wife, hey, let's co-op this game together because I do want to play it. It looks amazing. Gameplay looks fantastic. I've heard time and time again from the different reviews that they always have you doing something different. It's never the same thing over and over again. The game just switches from one thing to the next. Next time you're playing a side scroller, you know, you're actually in a ship. You know, the next time you're on the ground, the next time you're playing as a pig. You know, that when, you know, you're trying to jump, doggone rainbows come out his rear. You know, it's like always something going on. So with a game like that, it really, really piques my interest to be able to play it. So I might have to pick this one up. But let's go ahead though, guys, and let's get into the next story that I actually got from Xbox Era. So for anybody like myself that thought Gears of War E-Day was coming out this year, might have to pump the brakes just a little bit. Because according to Extas1, his name is spelled EXTAS with the number 1 and an S, who is an insider, just had a quote source tell him that E-Day is scheduled to release in 2026. Yeah, I thought that it was going to release this year. I truly thought we were going to see the greatness of Gears coming back and being as amazing as I remembered it being, from the original trilogy. But the thing is that all hope is not lost, because even though E-Day isn't going to be scheduled to come out until 2026, instead the Gears collection will release later this year. Now, now this is the thing. Of course, we went over it. It's not just going to be on Xbox, but it's also going to be on PS5 and PC all on day one, allegedly, because we can't say for sure. These are rumors. So, we always got to take it with the mustard seed of truth. Now, this is the thing. They also saying that it's going to be revealed at Xbox's Showcase 2025 event. So that means that we might not see E-Day this year at the event like I was hoping, but it's a great possibility that the Gears of War collection will be shown. Now, the other thing that I did here was it is not going to be remakes. They're going to be remastered. And that makes way more sense to me because, like I said, remakes cost a lot more money to do. And if you're talking about selling all three for the price of one, you are going to lose a ton of money. So again, they're saying it's going to be remastered, which is fine. PlayStation gamers will finally get a chance to play it, play through the whole trilogy, which makes sense, for E-Day, if it does come out day and date on the PlayStation 5 with the Xbox Series X and S versions, which I would hope they wouldn't do that. Hook these guys in and let them know, hey, E-Day is coming out this day, but the PlayStation 5 version, we don't even have a date for. Hey, I say, what is the harm in doing that? Sell consoles, Xbox. Do what you got to do to get more people on your platform. It'd be a great opportunity. Now, the other thing that I did want to say is I believe the game, according to rumors, of course, is supposed to be releasing sometime in August. Now, of course, we got to stay tuned to the Xbox Showcase to see if this actually does happen, because we don't know. We don't know 100% if it's going to be there or not. Again, rumors, take it with a mustard seed of truth. But if it does show up sometime in June, that means that 2 months later, it's going to be out on the market. It could be absolutely glorious. And just thinking about that DualSense controller, if they put some of the mechanics on those triggers, it could be incredible. But we'll see what happens with this, though. The other thing I did want to mention before we move on to the next story is, this is just a side note, it looks like State of Decay 3 won't be releasing until 2026 as well. And that's actually according to Jez Corden too. So Jez is all over the place. So we'll see. Maybe we get more on State of Decay 3 later on this year. But this also has to be said. Now I understand that some people may be let down because E-Day isn't coming out this year. State of Decay isn't coming out this year, which that game has been being worked on for a very, very long time. If I'm not mistaken, that game has been in development, going on 6 years? How long has State of Decay 3 been in development? Oh, okay. It hasn't been that bad. It's been over 4 years, though. It's been over 4 years that it's been in development. So, yeah, it's kind of on track to a certain degree. So, some people may be let down that game isn't coming out this year, allegedly. Like I was saying, along with Gears, E-Day, along with Fable as well, not coming out this year. But I still do believe that Xbox has a very, very good year on their hands. They got Doom that's releasing. They have that game 33. Was it Excursion 33? I forgot the J Well, it's not a JRPG necessarily, but it is turn-based. I've been hearing fantastic things about that game. That's going to be in Game Pass. You got South of Midnight releasing this year. If this Gears collection comes out this year, that's another great thing as well. So I just don't think, and they got Ninja Gaiden coming out later on this year. I don't see where things look so bleak when it comes to Xbox, even though and they got Call of Duty. They got Call of Duty as well coming out at the end of the year. So, yeah, this talk that things are looking bleak over on the Xbox side because Fable is not going to be there and Gears of War isn't going to be there and, State of Decay 3 won't be there. I kind of look at this situation kind of how people were talking about PlayStation 5 last year, saying they don't have the games, they don't have a whole lot of stuff coming out. I'm like, Final Fantasy 16 came out, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth came out, Stellar Blade came out. What are you talking about? Black Myth Wukong, even though it wasn't an exclusive, allegedly, that came out on the PlayStation 5 and never made it over to the Xbox. So you're talking about 4 big titles that released and people said that it was a bad year. Astro Bot came out last year, got Game of the Year. So I'm like, yeah, that wasn't a bad year. That was a great year. I look at that for Xbox this year. They got a lot of games coming, a lot of desirable games that are releasing this year. So it is not a bad year, especially when you go back in time 2 years ago to the Xbox brand. Oh my gosh. It was horrid. It was terrible. Absolutely horrible. The amount of releases that they had coming out. So it is a clear difference. They had a Vow just come out last month, and that was a solid game. So this year for Xbox is looking like their possible best year that they have had in a very, very long time. They are looking real strong, as it were. So we'll see what happens. And just think of that. Think of that just for 1 minute. They got 3 big games that are not going to be there this year, and they're still not even hurting. They're not even hurting. Losing 3 big games, well, not losing them necessarily, but them just not releasing this year. Again, allegedly, not coming out this year. They still have a lot more games that they can rely on. That is fantastic. This is where I have wanted Xbox to be for years. And just the fact that they are finally here, I can do nothing but respect that. But anyway, for the sake of time, though, let's go ahead and shout out to you, Glove Box. I know what you told me, good brother. But we are going to move on into the next story because I don't want to have y'all here all day long. I want to try to get you guys out of here in a timely fashion. But let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's get into a story that I actually got from The Verge. So this is the thing. Nintendo, I don't know if this is criminal or not. But Nintendo will be offering a Nintendo Switch OLED model bundle that will come with a digital copy of Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and which I heard was a great game. I have it upstairs. Haven't tried it yet, but I heard it's awesome. So you're going to get a digital copy of that, and you're going to get a 3-month Nintendo Switch online membership, which I will say their online membership, that thing is actually very, very, very good, especially if you are a gamer of my age, 46 years old, being able to go back and play some Nintendo games that you might not have been able to play for money reasons, or a game that you might have played, but it was just so hard to play back then. and you actually are able to play it on the Nintendo Switch, having that rewind button, man, that thing is lovely. It's gorgeous even. Having that thing where you get out, playing Ninja Gaiden, the original one on a Nintendo, oh man, that thing was my saving grace. Being able to rewind it and, get back to where you were. So that service is really, really well done. It is definitely worth the money. But when Nintendo said that you're going to get, again, the Mario Brothers Wonder and this 3-month subscription to the Nintendo Switch Online for $349.99, I said, God, dog, these jokers refuse. They refuse to drop the price of their console. Now, I get you getting 2 freebies in there, as it were, but $350, Nintendo, $350 for 7-year-old, 8-year-old hardware. I get that the OLED came out a couple of years earlier, but come on. Hold on. Matter of fact, God, dog, see, I lose track of this stuff, man. When did that come out? When did the Nintendo Switch OLED model release? That joker came out October 8th of 2021. A doggone their 4-year-old console. Man, God, dog. Nintendo be on that ball, man.
Rumor has it that
They just be ridiculous. It's ridiculous. $350. And how much was the original cost of this thing? Man, hold on. How much did the Nintendo Switch OLED cost? It was $350. Oh, man. Oh, Nintendo. Oh, Nintendo, God, dog. You jokers are criminal. This is so criminal. Almost 4 years later. And it's still the same price for the hardware that's 100 years old. I know some people can say, look, man, PlayStation ain't dropping their price on the PS5 and, the Series X ain't getting no cheaper. I get that. But they're literally going on 5 years old. The Nintendo Switch was already a grandfather when it was brand new. The hardware was already a grandfather, man. That's some old hardware. And the doggone Switch came out in 2017, 8 years ago. That joke already had kids and grandkids when it first released. And they say, you know what, we're going to do an OLED model. We're going to update the screen a little bit, just a little bit. Yeah, $350. 4 years old. Doggone granddad tried to get all dressed up to go to the club and whatnot, putting on a smoker's jacket. What the world? Nintendo, man, God, dog, these jokers, man. But listen, if you're in the market and you want a Nintendo Switch OLED model, it's going to be $350. And they're doing this is going to be available on March 10th, which is, is that tomorrow? That is tomorrow on Monday. And they're going to be celebrating Mario Day. So this is how they celebrating Mario Day, by having you pay $350 for an OLED Switch with Mario Wonder and 3 months of doggone Nintendo Online. God, dog. We're going to go ahead and move on, man. Let's move on. Shucks, Nintendo is going to Nintendo out this joint. But let's get into the next story that I actually got from Inside Gaming. Now, this one was a good one for me, brothers and sisters. So, one of my most anticipated games. Y'all know this. Maybe you don't, but I'm sure you do if you've been listening for any amount of time, is Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra. Oh, my gosh. I'm looking forward to this game so much for 2 reasons. It might be 3, maybe 3. Now it's being developed. Reason 1, it's being developed in Unreal Engine 5. The second reason is Amy Hennig, the legend. Amy Hennig is on this project, and it looks to cover both Captain America and Black Panther stories from two opposite sides of the spectrum. And the third reason, it looks like you're going to be able to choose from multiple characters. You got the soldier, you got the sister out there. I don't know what she gonna be doing, but she looks like a playable character. And then you got Captain America, and then you got Black Panther. So being able to see that different power dynamic, you got two superheroes out there. Then you got a regular, guy that's out there fighting in a war. He ain't got no superpowers. He got a gun. I don't know what that brother's going to be able to do. And then you got the sister in there who look like she got some kind of sword or something like that. So some kind of combat is going to be happening with her. But it just seems so interesting because it's going to be different sides of the spectrum. Going from a superhero to just a regular guy with a machine gun and maybe some good wit about him and knows how to move in a war setting. I just thought that was just so dope. My mind just started going all over the place, like what the possibilities of a game like that would look like. So those are the reasons why I'm just so excited about this game. But lately though, like I was saying, I didn't say this, but I'm saying it now. We haven't really had any new news about the game, but this week, man, this past week, we got it's small. I don't want to hype it up too much. It was small, but it was an important morsel. And I do mean it is just a small morsel of information from the Black Panther voice actor himself, which I believe his name is Kerry Payton. Hopefully I'm not wrong about that. His name is spelled Khary, Kerry Payton, Payton. Excuse me. Now, he said in an interview with The Direct, he said this, and I quote, "We're still working. We're planning on 2025. We're thinking like a Christmas situation, but I'm so excited." End of quote. So it's a possibility. Now again, we don't know 100%. This seems like it could slip into 2026. Whenever we hear about games releasing in December around the holidays, like the Christmas holiday, usually those games don't seem to make the mark. They always seem to slip. But I am hopeful, and I'm only so hopeful because I really am anticipating and want to play this game. Did y'all see the visuals? Did you see the amazing visuals on this game? I just couldn't believe it. So of course I'm excited. If he said Christmas 2025 is what they're aiming for, I'm saying, yes, sir, brother. Yes, indeed. I will be there day and date with this one right here. But we will see if it does happen. I'm excited, but I just don't want to get too overly excited. But anyway, talking about this, I also found out a little more information now this was new to me. But comic book fans have probably figured out, what this is, about the game. So the game is actually based on the 2010 limited series comic, which is called Captain America, Black Panther, Flags of Our Fathers. Now, the story follows an alliance between Black Panther and Captain America, where they work together to prevent Hydra from coming into power. So if any of you guys are familiar with that comic book, then you know exactly what the story is going to be, when it comes to this game. For me, like I said, I haven't been into comics in, good grief, decades at this point. And even then, when I was like 14 and 15, I wasn't into Marvel comics. I was into Image. Image comics were my favorite. The art style was killing anything that Marvel was doing at the time. Todd McFarlane, man, shucks. Him and that Spawn doggone comic book, man, shout out to that brother, man. Golly. Todd McFarlane was amazing. him and Jim Lee out there, man. I used to read the Wildcats. I like Prophet. He was dope. What was it? The Savage Dragon, I believe. I can't quite remember. Wildstar. Yeah, Image. They were just amazing. Amazing. So yeah, I was into Marvel at one point in time. The first Marvel comic I ever read, I can remember, it was The Punisher. And I only read it because I was on punishment, so I couldn't play video games at the time. It was over the summer. I think I was like maybe 11 or 12, somewhere around there. Got punished, and I was like, man, I need to do something with my time. I was with my grandmother over there on I forgot what side of town it was. It was Tench Tillman Elementary. We used to go there. My aunt used to have a daycare over there at Tench Tillman Elementary. I think that's on the south side of Baltimore, if I'm not sure. I don't really go over that side too much, but I remember going to a Rite Aid and I saw the Punisher and he was like leaned up against a tree. He looked like he was in trouble too. Looked like he was in a war zone. And I was like, man, that looks good. Let me try that and I'll read that. That was like 25 cents. It was around the time when Arachnophobia actually came out. So, I mean, golly, that was a long time ago, but got into that and it actually did the trick for a while until I could start gaming again. But then it opened my eyes and made me want to go over to Image Comics as well. And that's where I stayed. I stayed with Image for years, for quite some time, and never really messed with Marvel. I mean, I had heard about the Infinity Stones and all of that stuff with Galactus is a totally different character. Thanos and all of that stuff. My buddy, he was reading the comics, for that. But I was like, I'm into this Image joint right now. I understand it's a big deal, but nah, So again, sorry for the long doggone rant I just went on. Listen. 1943, Marvel 1943, Rise of Hydra could be coming out in December. It's based off of the comics, the comic, Flag of Our Fathers. And, we will see what happens with this. I do pardon me for going into that long story though about my comic book history and all that stuff. But, let's go ahead though, guys, cause we are at 57 minutes. We ain't going to get out of here in an hour. Golly, I still got a lot more things to talk about. So let's go ahead, though, and let's get into the next story that I actually got from GameSpot. So according to Circana's Matt Piscatella, because of the new tariffs being put in place, this could have a devastating effect on physical game sales, making publishers want to lean even harder into digital sales. Now, having it be a situation where anything coming from Canada and Mexico will have a 25% tariff and a 10% tariff on goods from China. And unlike Trump's first term, I don't know if y'all knew this, when Trump was in there for his first term, the gaming industry had successfully lobbied his administration to exclude them from tariffs he placed on Chinese goods. Now, unfortunately, this time it won't be the case. And more so because of this, games may become even more expensive as a result to buy because of the tariffs. Because we know the consumer always, no matter what it is, we the consumer always pay the cost. It's always pushed on us, to pay that difference. Now, in turn, it could also make it less affordable to buy games, which, like I was saying, it in turn hurts the industry. We already saw earlier this week, Sony was laying off people from their visual arts team, which was helping with now canceled live service game from Ben Studios. Now, they helped with The Last of Us 1 and 2 remaster and other projects. So just imagine, how many more people will unfortunately lose their job if people can't afford to buy the games that they really want to support. So it's not just literally just a physical thing. Digital games, like I said, could also go up according to Matt Piscatella because of these tariffs. So We don't know exactly what's going to happen yet. I mean, I think we got an idea of, what's coming down the road to us very, very soon. I mean, cost of living is already very high. Food is extremely high. Rent is high. Mortgage is high because they always talk about the property taxes having to be paid. No, nobody is escaping. Nobody is escaping right now. And like I said, if you got to get gas for your car or pay for a game, you're going to get the gas for your car because you got to go to work. So we'll see what happens with this. We'll keep our eye on it, keep our eye and hand on the pulse to see if it does actually make things skyrocket and get a little bit higher because of the tariffs. And again, man, it's already hard enough to get some games physically. I mean, did y'all know this? I didn't know this. I should have talked about it last week, but Forza 5 isn't even going to be available physically on the PlayStation 5. And reports have said that none of their games, none of Xbox games will be physically available for the PlayStation 5. You know what I said to that? I said awesome. Awesome. Because that right there, if that report is true, man, you're just going to get a bit of a glimpse, just a glimpse as to how it will be in order to buy that game on the PlayStation Store versus having another option to get it physically somewhere else, whether that's Best Buy, whether that's GameStop, whether that's Walmart, whether it's Target. Any of the big box stores. I am so interested to see what the pricing is going to be on Forza 5 1 year from now. 1 year from now, is it still going to be $70? Because I've been looking at you, Sony. I've been looking at y'all, looking at your store, looking at your sales, on your PlayStation Store. I don't see a lot of PlayStation first-party games in those sales. You'll get one or two sprinkled in. The Last of Us is in there. The Last of Us Part 2 is in there. But you never see an abundance of them. You're not going to see God of War in there, Spider-Man in there, Miles Morales in there, Ratchet and Clank, all at one time. It is really just a little here, a little there, just a little splash. And I truly believe that is being done purposely. They want you to but they want you to pay full price for their games. And I get it. You're in business to make money. It's not a robbery. It's not a robbery as long as it's fair. It's not like they're raising the prices way up like they were doing across seas. We're not getting those kind of prices. But again, not having another outlet, not having somebody be able to challenge the prices on your store because you can only get the game from PlayStation, man, I'm telling you, we're going to see exactly what the results of that are going to be. And that means Starfield isn't going to be physical. That means that if it does come over, Senua Saga isn't going to be physical. Oh, man, it's just going to be a small preview to see exactly how PlayStation is going to price their games. And I'm extremely interested to see how they play it, when it comes down to it, because not being able to go anywhere else, oh, that monopoly is real and people take stone cold advantage. But we'll see, though. We'll see. But let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's get into the next story that I actually got from Push Square. So later on this month, I believe it is March 20th, Assassin's Creed Shadows will be releasing. But during the lead up to the release, creative director Charles Benoit, he said a few things. Or his name is Benoit. Nah, I'm going to say Benoit. Spelled Benoit. Pardon me for butchering your name if I did there, Mr. Charles. But he did say a few things in an interview with Genki about the game. So the main story should take most people, this is what he's saying, it should take around 30 to 40 hours to complete. But if you do everything, if you do every side mission and open the world up to its entirety, it could take 80 hours. 80 hours to beat the game. So pretty much double the time that it would just doing a regular playthrough. So that's a lot to go through. Now, he also mentioned they're considering adding a new game plus mode. So that's something that may be on the horizon, maybe a little further out, but it's something that they're considering. I think he said that he's going to wait to see what the community says. If the community wants them to do it, they'll put it in there, but we'll see how long that takes. But he also said, now I found this very, very interesting, where this could be so immersive in the game. He did say seasons change over time, and there will be a full day and night cycle, adding an element to how you approach said mission. So I'm thinking, with that day and night cycle, and then you're talking about summer, spring, fall, winter, in the winter time, trees are going to be dead. You might not have as much cover to be able to go in, in stealth mode, versus summertime. Everything is in bloom. Everything is alive outside. I'm just imagining just the different scenarios that could put you in, especially if it's a situation where the stage isn't literally just set in the summer, but the world evolves over time, where it's just random. It randomly happens. That could make for a lot of replayability just from that standpoint alone, going into something in the spring versus going into it in the winter. I mean, man, it could really bring a totally different element. And then having the day and night cycles also be a part of it, maybe being able to hide during the nighttime, over the cover of, darkness, instead of going and trying to infiltrate a base during the day. The sun is up, you're more visible. It really, really got me excited about the possibilities that could happen with all of these different things. So that wasn't the only thing that got me excited either. He said, the game will also have environmental destructibility. Y'all know, man. Y'all might not know. I was such a fan of Red Faction. I don't know why people don't make more destructible environments in their game. It brings such an amazing element of realism to the games. It's such a great feature. And just the fact that you're going to have that on top of the seasons changing and the day and night cycle, man, come on. I'm so excited about this. I know that some people have played it. Some people said, it's just Assassin's Creed all over again. I don't care. I haven't played Assassin's Creed since, what was the one that everybody hated? Unity. I haven't played it since Unity. That's been a long time ago, and people hated that game. Like I said, people didn't like that game. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was absolutely incredible. So when I hear people talking, saying that the game is this and it's that and it's not what they expected, man, that stuff goes in one ear and out the other, especially if it's a game that I'm looking forward to. I'd rather try it for myself, see how it goes, and then make my mind up. But anyway, we'll see what happens with this. I'm hoping that the game gets some good scores, because believe you me, my Ubisoft stock has tanked. Oh, that stock has tanked. I think it's trading at $2 and something a share. So if you want to get in, man, this is the time to do so. It's very, very minimum. And I do mean minuscule risk of losing a huge amount of money to get a lot of shares. Buy in low and hopefully, man, maybe it'll go up high. That's what I'm hoping, doggone it. But we shall see. Man, hold on. Before I get into the next story, I do want to say one thing. Almost forgot. Over the weekend, I got a chance to play Bright Memory Infinite. Brothers and sisters. Oh, man. Oh, man. That game right there. That game is so much fun. Those dudes over there. Oh man. I think I paid like $20 for the game. Bright Memory Infinite. You might remember this game. It was on Xbox's stage quite a few years ago. I said, man, ain't no way that game looks that good. It don't look not that good. Man, I booted that joker up on the PlayStation 5. Oh, man. It looks that doggone good. Gameplay is fast-paced. You got the sword, man. They got like this bullet storm kind of situation going on. It's not a leash per se, but you get to make people come to you by your hand, and you just get to light them up. Bing, 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 bing. I mean, man, shots everywhere. That game is hard. Man, shout out to them, God dog it. That game is worth buying. It is worth your money. Pick that thing up. $20. Man, Bright Memory Infinite. Now, granted, I'm probably about like, I ain't gonna say I'm super into the game, but I'm like close to about maybe an hour in. Man, that game is dope. I have been having a great time with that game. Story is pretty shallow. And I knew that. I just wanted to go into the game. I was fully aware of what was going on. No, it was developed by one guy. It's not a long game. I think it's like 5 hours, maybe. So it's not going to be a long experience, but for $20, yeah, that game, man, I hope they can do a Bright Memory Infinite Part 2 with a bigger budget. Because if he did that on, man, hold on, man, golly, I really wanted us to be out of here in an hour. Hold on, man. I just got to look this up. Got to. How much did Bright Memory Infinite cost to make? How much did Bright Memory cost? Yeah. It cost. No, I don't want the price. I might not be able to get a price. Let me see. Hold on. How much was the development cost for Bright Memory Infinite? Let's see. Because I really, really want to know. Because that guy, whoever he is, says Bright Memory Chinese is a first-person shooter game developed by FYQD Personal Studio and published by Playism. Shucks. They won't give a number. Man, I would love to know how much that game costs to make. Oh, there it is. Oh man, they talking about a bikini DLC. Oh. Oh shucks, you can put the character in a bikini. Oh shucks, man. Anyway, listen, man. I can't find I can't find the budget, man. But man, maybe next week I'll be able to find it, but I'm not gonna keep y'all here for any longer than you need to be. And you can cut me off at any time. That's another option too. But anyway, man, shucks. That kind of tripped me out of a bikini DLC. Let's move on, man. Shucks. Oh my goodness. Next story. I actually got it from IGN. So me being a huge Last of Us fan, and quite honestly, I've said this a million times, I actually crowned The Last of Us Part 2 as my favorite game of last generation. So my hype level has been on 1,000, if not 100,000 for Part 3. But I'm going to tell y'all something, man. That situation where I was so excited and ready, that joker came to a screeching halt, man. I mean, that thing came, I said, wait a minute, what is going on here? Because, Neil Druckmann, now he had an interview, with Variety about the Last of Us TV series, but he was also asked about the prospect of The Last of Us Part 3, where he responded with this. He said, and I quote, I was waiting for this question. I guess the only thing I would say is don't bet on there being more of Last of Us. This could be it. End of quote. And now, the way that came off. Now, see, I don't want to be one of these guys that are trying to mix words or trying to say, no, he meant this instead of that. I don't know what Neil Druckmann meant. All I know is what I can go off of. He said, I was waiting for this question. So now, depending on how we answered that, because I didn't hear the interview itself, but when a person says, I was waiting for this question, that says to me that they're probably tired of hearing it or being asked the same question over and over again. And usually when a person is tired of somebody asking them something over and over again, they'll just be kind of short with it. Like, hey, it might not happen. Matter of fact, I don't even think you should even be holding your breath for anything like that to happen, because it's probably not. I think sometimes people answer things like that out of frustration. And again, I'm not speaking for Neil Druckmann, but him saying that, don't bet on there being more of Last of Us, this could be it. I'm like, man, oh man, I don't know if that's true or not. And maybe that's just the hope in me that doesn't want to believe that this could be it. But it could be a situation where, we all know this, but well, you might not know, but HBO, The Last of Us, HBO show was coming back on April 13th. So it could be a situation where Neil Druckmann is like, man, we really don't need to make it, because what I was going to say or what I wanted to do story-wise, it'll probably be reflected in the TV show. Now, I've heard that they're probably going to make this season and next season kind of combine together to actually make The Last of Us Part 2 storyline. But I also heard, too, that the show is supposed to be going into some times that actually were not documented in the game, like the timeline before the game starts or things that happen in between are supposed to be talked about as well in the TV show. Now, that's a part that I am really, really excited about hearing about. Like, what the world was Joel doing, during that course of, I think it was 20 years that it passed, by the time they actually catch up, with him in the Last of Us storyline. What was going on in the middle of all of that? So if they can fill in some gaps, that would be incredible. And even more of a reason for me to want to watch the show. So it could be a situation where Neil Druckmann feels like, man, everything I wanted to say, I'm going to be able to do it with this TV show. I think they're on until, I think they got 4 seasons, I think. Hold on. How many seasons will there be of The Last of Us? The HBO drama The Last of Us is expected to have, 4 seasons. Yeah, the showrunners Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann have said that they don't think the story can be told in just 2 seasons. So so 4 seasons they're supposed to have, and I think that whatever Neil Druckmann wants to say, he'll probably get it all out, during the course of the season, which would mean that to a certain degree, you don't need, I still think you do, but maybe in his mind, you don't need a Last of Us video game, for that reason. So we'll see. Neil Druckmann, only he knows for sure what's going to happen. I'm sure that Sony would love for there to be a Last of Us Part 3, because it would sell like gangbusters. I don't know. Some people might be mad about it. I would be there day one. So we'll see, though. We'll see what happens with this. Now, on a side note, the Last of Us controller is going to be launching on April 10th. And you'll be able to get pre-orders in by March 14th at 7 a.m. Pacific time. Now, that controller is going to be $84.99. So if you're interested in it, get your pre-order ready again on March 14th. But let's go ahead and move on into the next story. Like I said, The Last of Us Part 3 happening. I don't know. Like I said, I'm hopeful, but, maybe Neil Druckmann is just tired and he wants to move on to the Intergalactic Prophet and work on that in peace. So we'll see, though. But the next story, I actually got this from Comic Book. And Yeah, this was the thing. Now, the Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom was one of those games on the Switch that actually was selling for $69.99. Now, pretty much most Switch games after that, they've been selling for $60. But it looks like that trend of $60 titles on the Switch could be going away for the Switch 2, according to Central Leaks, who says, and I quote, Nintendo has increased the prices of all Nintendo Switch games in Latin America starting today, as well as the prices of Nintendo Switch. Yeah, as well as the prices of Nintendo Switch Online. End of quote. So, could this be a new precedent set where in the next generation, the games will be $70? Now, also, wait a minute. Let me stay here for a minute. Would you guys be okay with paying $70 for a Switch 2 title? Now, of course, we don't have all of the inside information of what the Switch 2 will be able to provide. Will it have HDR? I doubt it. Oh, man, I doubt it. I don't know about that. Is it going to have 4K resolution? I don't know about that either. We know that whenever whenever Nintendo releases their consoles, they're already grandfathered. They grandfathered technology, man. They ain't nothing brand new, no new kid on the block. All of their consoles since the Wii have been doggone granddads. They're old. They come on the scene old. They got kids and a family and grandchildren by the time they come out. So I think it's going to be the same situation with the Switch 2. You're not going to have cutting edge technology and stuff. It's going to be granddad. You know, technology when it comes out. I mean, the best we're going to get, the best that we can hope for is last generation hardware, PlayStation 4, Xbox One. I've heard some people say it's going to be a mixture of 360 PS3 and PS4 Xbox One technology. So I don't know. I don't know if I feel comfortable paying $70 for a game that's last generation worthy. I don't know, man, but this is Nintendo at the end of the day. They're already raising their prices in Latin America, which again, I believe is definitely going to set a precedent for what is about to come in the next coming months when the Switch 2 releases. So I would love to hear, are you okay with paying $70 for a game that might go rock? No, I can't say that. I can't say that, man. Link, Zelda, no. They actually talk. They do talk in that game. You know, I got to take that back a little bit. But I will say in Mario Odyssey, I don't remember anybody having a whole full dialogue of any story-driven beats going on. They were definitely on a waka type of time with that game. But we'll see, man. But also, before we get out of this story, there's another thing I did want to mention. It is also, now this is according to a new report, Luigi's Mansion 4 will be releasing in the first half of 2026, you know, but as with things like this, Nintendo has not confirmed this info, so take all of that with a mustard seed of truth. They also talked about that the so-called leaker, and I wish I could remember his name, but I can't, so pardon me. But he talked about the game being amazing visually, like nothing you've ever seen before. He said that Luigi's Mansion is going to be so different from the previous ones. It's going to be a showstopper, all of this stuff. I mean, he was selling the dream of this game. Now, I do have Luigi's Mansion 3 upstairs, and I will say, from what I've seen of the game, it's actually a nice looking game. Haven't played it yet. Yeah, still in the wrapper, but it looks good though. It looks like a game that I'll really be able to get into. Visually, it looks really, really good. So if the Switch 2 is going to be a lot more powerful than the Switch 1, which I mean, we're all hoping that that's going to be the case, I'm sure that Luigi's Mansion 4 will probably look fantastic, but only time will tell. But let's go ahead though, guys, man. We're going on an hour and a half. Let's go ahead, man. How many more of these do I have left? There was so much that happened this week. We got to talk about this. We only got 2 stories left, y'all. 2 more stories. So this next story I actually got from Bam Smack Pow. Doggone reminds me of the Batman show back in the day. But hold on, give me 1 second. Excuse me. Okay, now we have some new details about the upcoming Black Panther game being developed by Cliffhanger Games and published by EA. So this report is coming from Call of Duty leaker Ghost of Hope. We heard from him a little earlier in the show. But players will be able to decide who the next Black Panther is going to be by choosing from. Now, this is what he's saying. He's saying that this is going to be one of the options. You'll be able to choose which Black Panther actually takes center stage in this game. So he's saying you'll be able to choose from T'Challa, M'Baku, Azari, Shuri, and Killmonger, and more, according to him. Also, depending on who you choose, your quote weapons, armors, and gadgets are unique to each Black Panther. So yeah, you'll have those to go off of. Everything is going to be different depending on which character you pick. Now, also, it's been claimed that the game's stories and missions will be dependent on the player's actions, meaning every playthrough could have the chance to be a unique experience. Now, it was also reported, a report that did mention that some of the developers working on the project were a part of Monolith Productions, known, of course, for their Nemesis system. And it went into some details, talking about that it could be something similar, some kind of technology, similar to the Nemesis system being put into this game. EA had made, some claims during one of their fiscal meetings saying that the technology would be put in a lot more of their games. Now, they didn't go into specifics in the article on what that technology would be, but the writer on the article, he was pretty much saying that it could be a situation where it may not be the Nemesis system that they use, but it could be something very, very similar, which would be awesome if they could do anything like that and not have a copyright infringement type of situation happen. But Black Panther will also feature, now these are the places you'll be able to go. You'll be able to go to many explorable cities and savannas. And the game is, of course, going to be a third-person game. And they will attempt to replicate authentic. I thought this was dope because I said, God dog, they are really going to try to go for it. And I respect it. They're going to replicate or attempt to replicate authentic African martial arts. And lastly, the game will feature an open world, third person game going to all of these different vistas and savannas and cities. Being able to choose from multiple characters. It sounds like it could be great. It sounds great. Now, I don't know if this is being developed on Unreal Engine 5. I don't know yet. I don't know. Matter of fact, we got technology. We can find out. I just want to know. I want to know. Is the Black Panther game being developed in Unreal Engine? Oh, shucks. It says yes. It says yes. Oh, man. I was just joking around. Oh, shucks. It says yes. According to current information, the upcoming Black Panther game is being developed using Unreal Engine. Oh, man. Y'all need to stop this. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm mad excited now. God, dog. I'm looking forward to this. Can't wait. Do we see something later on this year? Only time will tell. But let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's get into the final story of this week that I actually got from VGC. Now, I found this next story extremely interesting. Now, even though, because I got to put this caveat out there, even though this isn't happening in the United States, it's not happening now, it doesn't mean that it couldn't happen sometime in the future. But if you are a resident over in the UK, you can rent a PlayStation 5, and they're calling it Flex, which is a partnership between PlayStation and leasing firm Raylo. But you can also rent the PlayStation Portal, the digital PlayStation 5, the PSVR 2, and the PS5 physical, as well as the PlayStation 5 Pro. So this is the cost per item for the month. Now you can actually rent a PlayStation 5 digital for $21.95. €21.95, pardon me. You can rent a PlayStation 5 standard, which is the physical, for €23.59 The PlayStation 5 Pro, you can get that for €35.59. PlayStation Portal is €13.99. And the PlayStation VR 2, that joker comes in at a whopping €51.49. Now, they also have plans where the monthly cost can go down by quite a bit if you sign up for and commit to 12 months, 24 months, or 36 months. So, I mean, like, for example, now, I just read it off, but the PlayStation 5 digital on a monthly basis is $21.95. Now, if you sign up for 36 months, which means you can't pull out whenever you want, it's going to lower the payments down to $10.99 a month. And I got to say, if you do the math over 3 years, as far as euros go, you would end up paying €396 over 3 years, which is still cheaper than the actual purchase price of a PlayStation 5. Now, if you rent it on the uncommitted plan at the end of the 3 years, you would have paid out €790.2, which is way more. You're talking about what, 4, 5, 6, 7, like $390 more if you do it that way. Now, the other thing is, you can make out a whole lot better. Like I said, just renting long term. So even the PlayStation VR 2 goes from that crazy $51.49 a month, to $18.49 if you sign up for 36 months, meaning that at €51.49 on the non-committed plan, you would spend listen to this number, $1,853.64 €64 versus 36 months committed, signing the contract, not being able to get out of it, whenever you want, being able to spend €665.64. So you're saving more than half by just committing to the 3 years. So even the standard PlayStation 5 goes, from $23.59 uncommitted to $11.99 a month. So if you sign up for this, if you're over in the UK, definitely go for the long-term deal of 36 months. I mean, and if you want the Pro, goes from $35.59 to $18.95. I am curious to know, could that be a situation y'all see PlayStation doing here? Because obviously PlayStation is going to make the most money off of people actually just going on a monthly basis where I'm going to rent it this month, I might not have it next month, versus somebody that locks in into the actual 36 months or you can do 12 months or 24. Just depends on what you want to do. But you could make out a lot better as a consumer by going to 36 months. But could that be something you think Sony would bring stateside? I mean, I don't, like I said, I think the money play is them actually having it where the person doesn't want to commit, to it. They're going to pay way more, double and a little more than double the price of the person that just signs up and they just sign up for the 36 months, 3 years. I'm just thinking, I wonder, man, we know that Xbox, they have the plan, or they had the plan. I don't know if it's still active today, where you could go to Best Buy and you could actually get the console and pay for it on a monthly basis, but it was yours at the end of the terms. You were just paying on it monthly. This situation is a little different. You won't come out owning it. I don't know. With that, do you think that could even be a popular option here in the States? Might not be able to buy it, but you could sure rent it for all of those months. And during that time, you're picking up controllers, you're signing up the PSN, you're buying games. I mean, they could still get their money back. It's a very, very interesting concept. I'm just curious, would that even be a situation that you would even sign up for? Me, I want to own it. I want to own everything I have. Car, my home, games, the consoles, anything that I buy, I want to have ownership over it. So this isn't a plan necessarily for me, as far as renting, but I am curious to know what you guys' thoughts would be on this. But anyway, that is the end of the gaming news this week, which brings us to our final section of the podcast. And I'm going to make this quick. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this. I want to know, and I know you saw it from the beginning, and I thank you guys for being here, but is Nintendo, this is the question of the week, is Nintendo competition for PlayStation? I say no, absolutely not. And for the sake of time, I'm going to leave it right there. No, they're not competition. I think that PlayStation will continue to handily take care of them. I don't think they're going to have those story-driven games that I want them to have. Even though Zelda, I can't knock Zelda. Zelda was dope. It's been great. It's been really, really good. But I just don't think they got the chops like PlayStation to really, really give them competition on the spectrum that I'm talking about. I want not first person, but first person is cool. First person or third person story-driven games that have great stories to them. I'm talking voice acting from everybody. That's what I want. HD graphics, 4K, 60 frames per second, the whole nine. New technology being at the center, front and center of what they are presenting. And from that standpoint, I don't think Nintendo has it. But I am very, very interested to know what you think. Is Nintendo competition for PlayStation? If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can do it two different ways. You can either email the show, and the email is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. And if you don't want to email, but you want to call in and let your voice be heard, you can also do that by calling in at 443-627-9087. I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and as always, thank you guys for being here. Thank y'all. Now, before we tie this thing up and wrap it up and put a bow on it, always remember one thing. It is not about the consoles. It is about the games. So until it might be next Sunday, like we did today. Will we do it again? Possibly. Until then, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.